and put that on the... Right. We are now live. Okay. Does anybody know where we can get the link to this so we can share this with other people? Could be just this link. Could be that link there. Al?
Yeah. Yes. John is open Zoom, and I think he cannot talk.
No, I don't want to talk to him. I'm sending him the link by email to StreamYard, but I'm also going to invite him as a.
He's sending you the link of the StreamYard, and he's going to
invite him as a guest.
Okay.
Good morning. Invite guests to the broadcast studio. Send this link to your guests. You may also want to share our instructions for guests. You can have 10 people on the screen at once, so that's good. So he's got that. Where is the link, Carol, for people to watch this stream?
No, you're going to be live on Facebook or...
Oh, I see. So you have to go on the Facebook feed.
Yeah, or I don't know where you are.
So if we go into Facebook now, and...
Probably you cannot see, because are you live there?
Yeah, I'm live, yeah. So if I go to my pages...
Morning.
Good morning.
I don't think you're live. It's not showing.
Weird. Yeah, but we're not live on my main Facebook page.
Which one?
I'm live on my personal page.
Yeah, but I have you.
Which one? Ricardo.mariti.page.
Oh, no.
How can I find my page? Anybody know anything about Facebook?
Because who's follow you in this page? So
Probably no one.
Yeah, so that no one is going to see.
I know, it doesn't matter, that's the whole point. I need to send a link to the team members so the team members will know that they can come onto that page and start
So you are there online.
Right.
So
now, how do I find share? So I share that, copy link, and then I can just go into, I can email it to myself, and then I can just put it out on WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
Good.
I just think we need to split more, because it cannot be all together.
Well, this is one of the things we're going to work on right now. So the rules, the legal rules are as follows.
2 meters each, and the mask on.
No. Or you have a mask on and you're using personal protective equipment, or you're 2 meters apart. We are now live anyway, so we shouldn't be doing this. But that's how you should work. That's the legal requirement for you to work together. So you're either 2 meters apart, or if you come together and you're closer, then you have to wear a mask.
So, oh, or put mask on.
Just wanted to double check. Are we getting paid for the training this week?
Yes.
Can you just wait for questions until everybody's here? And hold all your questions, and then we will answer the questions.
Absolutely. That's not
Where is my phone? John? Yeah. You either got a mask on or you're 2 meters apart. That's the law.
puedo dar más.
Los maestros de distancia de nosotros.
Si no, puedes usar el poner la máscara.
You speak Spanish, yeah.
Sorry?
You speak Spanish?
No. Did it sound like Spanish?
No, no. I just wondered if you did. So.
No. I'm just gonna put my mask on. Especially not good.
So are we on Zoom?
Yes.
Yeah. Which Zoom? With the speaker?
With
With the Jabra speaker? Which Zoom are you on?
126. No, with a leader.
My one.
Yeah, I guess.
1267777.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Smartphone connected.
What are we going to do about this, Carol? Are we going to invite people to Zoom?
Disconnected.
I don't know. Maybe from Maria and Pash.
I thought Maria was coming.
And Paige is working, so she's coming as well.
But it's 10 o'clock, 11.
Or maybe it's Maria working actually. Yeah, but Sophie? Where's Sophie?
I will explain. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's better we put everything at work time, so we'll give it chance for them to see the train. If they don't do anything, that's their choice.
Oh, that's good. Look, when I posted that, it automatically went Scrum Training.
Your personal.
Okay, so. Sharpies. Loads of Sharpies, please. We should have a big packet of them. I had one here a second ago. What was the thing? Everybody got a Sharpie? Carol, we got, they're not Sharpies. We got that big bag of Sharpies anyway.
Oh, I didn't have it before. Let me check. I haven't been downstairs yet.
Stop. It's one.
Right, phones off.
Not like.
Sorry?
Have we got enough light for you? Wow, look at that. See how well equipped Caroline is.
Oops.
See how well equipped. So, one of the things we've got to remember before we start is just the health and safety. We have a responsibility to come up with what a safe working environment for ourselves that's legal, okay? So the law says that we should be 2 meters apart, and if we're not 2 meters apart, then, and we're in this type of environment, then we should be wearing a mask, yeah? So let's say if we're going to get closer, I have a mask here, I can put that on. So if we're going to get close to each other, then we have to do that, and we have to set a good example, especially when we go back to work and we've got customers coming into the restaurant. A lot of people are going to be very keen to, they haven't had a vaccine yet, and they're going to be keen to make sure that they stay safe. I think a lot of people are very sensitive to it. Yeah. When you come and present, John, which you're going to do anyway, then you can take your mask off. It's much easier for you to present. Yeah. So one of the things we need to do is come up with a working agreement, for the restaurant, how we're going to work together as a restaurant, as team members, and also things like Magda was saying, are we going to get paid for training? Yes, you are going to get paid for training. You're going to get 100% of your pay, yeah, not 80%. 80% of it will be paid by the government under the furlough scheme. So it's really important that we make sure that we write down, as we've discussed in the past, all training hours so that we can separate them out and get the benefit from that. Yeah. In training, you must not serve customers. You mustn't do anything that makes money for the business. Yeah. So that's the rule. Training is training, but if it's something that's going to enhance your ability to be a better worker afterwards, then of course, that's the benefit. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to give you a really basic understanding of what Agile means and what Scrum is. And we're going to start right from the beginning. And the way I like to teach is not to be standing up here like a teacher all the time, is to get you to be presenting, if you're comfortable presenting. He needs translation, so you need to be, if he's going to be here, you're going to have to be explaining to him what's going on. If you're comfortable presenting things, I think it's the best way you can learn, is to see if you can teach back to the others what you've just heard. So you hear something and it's like, okay, you want to have a go and see if you could explain it to us? Because it's pretty simple, isn't it? Have you got the map, Scrum map, the framework?
Well, I have it on my phone. I have one.
Okay, print one up. It's on the desk. Did somebody move that rucksack off the printer? Now, Sophie phoned me and she has a constraint. She's not able to. John, you can start that meeting here. Just go. Start again. Go down to the bottom so this. It's better to use a mouse. That's just go down to the bottom. 777 126 7777. One. Great. Have we got Alistair? Alistair! Hey, Al.
Good morning. Still good morning for some time yet.
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
Yeah, good. We're here live on StreamYard. I don't know if you can you see the branding up on the screen when you're looking at it or not on your?
Yes, there's a live with StreamYard and StreamYard live show.
Oh, great. And we should be.
I am on my way.
Who said that? Was that Maria? I think Maria was just talking to you on.
Yeah, I know. I said.
So print 3 or 4 copies of that, and then print the other one. Yeah. Maria,
Yes?
how long are you going to be?
Sorry?
How long are you going to be?
I will be at 11 at work. I am on my way.
Okay. Can you mute? Can you mute yourself, please? Al, is there any delay on this thing for you?
No, it's fine. Is there any delay when I reply to you?
No. Sounds good. You see the ticker?
It's interesting. It looks like I've got studio controls as well. I don't know if you made that deliberate.
I think I'd set you up as an admin, I think.
Ah, right, I see.
It's interesting. I don't know how to take the logo off. Oh, there you are. Just double click it. I got you. So if you've got that, you can just double. Oh, I see. You click it and then you click it off. Good. Well, we can leave it off for the moment anyway, so we don't need to do that. Is it printing?
It's just going forward.
John? Just coordinate. John, go down to the bottom. Go to the windows. No. Far left. Far left. Far left. Left. Far left. The furthest left. Far left. Far left. You can go. Yeah, click there. Okay. Type in printers. Type in printers. And just click on printers and scanners. Find the printer. Click test page. There, that one there.
My save is really good.
Manage. Print test page. Print a test page. Now try.
Sorry.
When you print,
Maria said that she doesn't have a connection now because she's on the tube, so she doesn't have a
Doesn't matter.
connection to Belgium, but she's gonna be here in 20 minutes.
Right, we can't be managing people who are not here, okay? So as far as I'm concerned, if they want to watch it, they can watch it later on the recording. That's why we're recording the stuff. If there's something really, really important, we can turn around. Have we got, yeah, you see on this live, you can see the timestamp. So if we think that there's something really, oh, that's really important, just go like that and we'll write down the time and we'll say, the last 5 minutes was really good. Then we can bring people into instead of watching a 4-hour training or a 6-hour training, they can just say, watch that bit and that bit because they're really important. So we can then index the training so people, the team members, what they've missed, the vital part. And we'll try to present to the board. We'll bring the board a little bit closer to them so that you can see it and the camera can see it, hopefully. And we'll see how that works. Have you got that? There's no one got it. Give me the one that's printed already. Just a second. That should be. That's the problem. Right. Right. Anyway, we can work with. Have we got one of these? A laminated one downstairs?
We have,
Let's just get that.
I don't know where they are.
Should be on the board or not?
Is Ash on holiday?
Ash is with the kids. Her kids are on holiday.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I had loads of these printed up yesterday, and so everyone seems to have taken them. So.
It's not there.
Not there. John, move out the way. Let me just sit.
John, give him in that basket.
The one in the light.
Yeah, please.
There you go. Do better. It should be. Well, that's nice. For some reason it doesn't want to print photographs. It likes printing PDFs. So that should have given you 2 copies, one with the writing and one without the writing. Okay, so that's fine. So this is the Scrum framework. And what we're going to do today is just quickly learn the Scrum framework. The framework is like all the moving parts, yeah, so that we can actually create a Scrum team. Yeah. So I'm going to quickly explain to you what they are, and then we can start to have a discussion. It's going to be the easiest, quickest way for us to do this. Yeah.
And Sophie's not coming?
Sophie will be here Thursday, Friday, but she's going to study. So somebody needs to be responsible for teaching the people who are not here what we've learned today. And it's better if it's not me. Who would like to give?
She's gonna be around, so
Who would like? Who is?
So
No, she's not. No. Not today. Don't worry about it. The whole idea, right, is that we're going to get some hands-on experience and we're not just going to be learning about stuff. So we're going to run a little project.
Yeah.
So my goal for this week is that by Friday, 4 p.m., we'll talk about time boxing. So in Scrum, you start on time, you finish on time. Yeah. If we have a meeting, it's 15 minutes. 15 minutes, we get back to work. We'll put a time clock on, even if we're not finished, doesn't matter. 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Get back to work. That way, you learn to actually get things done in that 15-minute period. So when you have a daily meeting where you say, okay, we have a daily meeting, the purpose of that meeting is to replan what we're doing to make sure we hit our goal. So right now, we have a goal, which I'm going to give you in a second. If we say we're going to finish at 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock on the dot, we finish. Or earlier. Doesn't stop us finishing earlier. We just never run on late. If we say we're going to finish at a certain time, we finish at a certain time. That's really important. And there are a number of different reasons for that.
You are in the center there. So just on the computer. They can
Is anybody on?
no.
So just put it on the full screen so you can see if anybody joins on. The bottom right hand corner. Full screen. That's a really crap camera. You have better camera downstairs, by the way.
You're supposed to turn the computer, not you, Joe. So they can see there.
Yeah, but we need to make, well, it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Joe, I said to him, move the computer. He
no, but even
said,
if I do that, still you can't see the.
You can't see anything, you can see just
Maybe that.
CD.
Next time, we're making,
Next time,
we're making better studio.
well, we've got to set it up somehow, and then we'll see.
I think if you.
What are all these different? One is a speaker.
And one is the most.
Which one is the printer? That is the printer. That one.
And I have a break.
Yeah.
So you go here, go to video, choose that one. Should be better.
Yeah.
Good. So the goal is really simple. By Friday, 4 o'clock, the restaurant is ready to be open. Yeah? And that means ready. So it means every bit of stock we need is done. Everything that needs to be repaired is repaired. Every bit of equipment's been checked and ready to go. The place is clean. The windows are cleaned. Tony's coming at 9 o'clock on Friday morning to do all the windows and the glass. It means we could lock up at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon and don't come back until Monday morning, and we'd be ready. Bookings, booking policy, legal, everything done. We're going to use Scrum as a project to make sure that gets done. So it's kind of like a ongoing learning project. Yeah. I don't want to turn, the restaurant business is really abusive normally. You have managers who are telling people what to do all the time. They're always bloody moaning and groaning. And we've got to change the environment if we're going to operate in an agile way. And it means people being responsible. People being responsible, turning up on time, doing what they're meant to do, and not having to be checked. Checking each other because we're trying to help each other. Not checking each other because we're meant to be policemen. You know, I forget things. Caroline checks me all the time. We check each other when we're doing the wages. We always find we make a little mistake. We check each other. If we've made a mistake and we both check it and we haven't, then you find the mistake, you tell us, we correct it. It's just, there's always 2 or 3 different steps before, you know. So just because you check something doesn't mean you don't trust the person. It just means we're helping each other out by checking our work. And we need to kind of try to create this environment here where the team are responsible for being responsible. The team are responsible for, you know, correcting to other team members that are not doing what they're meant to be doing. And one of the things we're going to come into later is the Scrum has 5 values. It has 3 roles, 5 meetings or events, and 3 what they call artifacts, 3 things that we need to manage. It's very simple. But if you get the real understanding of it, companies that Scrum was formed, and I'll explain later what the history is, and I'll take you through the whole thing. And if anybody wants to get a certification, you can get a certification. I really think you should. And I can certify you legally so that I can make you into a certified Scrum Master and Product Owner. I can teach you to that level. And you'll understand why and what the evolution was. But basically, Scrum came out of really, really successful companies. Where there was a study done by 2 Harvard professors back in the 70s, early 80s, and they looked at all the most successful companies in the world, and they said, what are they doing? And the whole methodology, the whole framework of Scrum came out of studying the top performing companies in the world. And then companies that copied that format started doing much better than everybody else, and so they created it as an entity, and they called it Scrum. Does anybody know what a Scrum is? Can I show you? Al, I don't know about sharing screens on this. Do I share a screen on this?
You're not going to hear him if it is on this stage.
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. Hold on.
You are on mute, Joe.
Al, you're muted.
Yes, sorry, I'm learning. At the bottom of the studio, it says share. There's a picture and a plus in the center of the screen. It says share.
Yeah. So I'm going to share, and I found a really interesting YouTube video.
From yesterday with all those.
No, I found a better one. Oh, no, that's not this. This is somebody else. I found a better one this morning. I'll find it for you. Take me 1 second. By the way, Harvard Business School are doing a case study on Ricardo's restaurant because they find it so interesting because nobody's ever done this in a restaurant before. This is the first draft of the case study here. And here, I'll share my screen now. Al, keep giving me feedback, by the way. If you don't see something, if I say I'm doing something, and then let me.
Can you hear me at the moment?
I can hear you perfectly.
Good.
And I'm just gonna upload this video, put it, there you go. And this is called Rugby's Greatest Dominant Scrums. And give me 1 second, let me just stream it. StreamYard, share screen. There, share audio. Well, it doesn't really matter, I don't think there's much. Audio to share.
Another more than solid Northampton scrum. Winning 5, 6, 7, then nearly on 10 metres off.
So this is a scrum, right? This is a rugby scrum. And we were talking yesterday, we were saying, you know, what is the goal of these people? What are they trying to do? They're only trying to do one thing. What do you think it is, Magda?
I don't know.
They're trying to get that ball. They're trying to get that ball across that line. That's it. Okay? But what you're doing in the scrum is when somebody falls over, you're helping them out. They're all pushing together. Okay, this is their competition. They're pushing against their competition, but forget about that. They're pushing together. Somebody falls over. You watch. The ball goes in. They're pushing. They're pushing. They're pushing. Their whole job. And if one person, they take the competition out. They're pushing, pushing, pushing. They're pushing the ball further forward all the time to try to get the ball across the line. That is the whole purpose, and that's where Scrum, the Harvard professors said that the top teams in the world were like a rugby scrum, pushing together. Nobody really knew what anybody particular was doing. There were no sort of roles, there was no management there. There were just 8 people. There are 8 men or women in the scrum. They're pushing together to get this ball over the line. Yeah. So out of that was born this. Let's just stop sharing, Al. Did that share, by the way?
Yeah, that was fine.
Yeah. So Scrum is called Scrum after the game of rugby. And who have we lost? And it came from studying the top companies in the world. Yeah, that's all we need to know right now. Later I can go through into a lot more detail. There are elements in Scrum. In order to call it a Scrum team or an Agile Scrum team, you have to have some combination of these elements together. So in the learning objectives, if you wanted to learn to be a Scrum Master, one of the sorry.
You can leave the screen sharing set up, Ricardo, and then just change the view so it's not showing screen when you don't want it shown.
Okay. So if I was there, so what do I do then? If I want to go back, I just go back. Oh, I see. And then how do I share screen? Oh, I see. I got it. So that's sharing the screen now, is it?
Yes, it is.
So if I go into Google and I go into Google, I think it was Slides. Was it Google Slides? I can't remember. Oh, no, we did it in my one, didn't we? my Google Slides. We just put the learning objectives. So in the first part of the course is called the framework, and it says by the end of this course, students will be able to explain that Scrum is a lightweight framework that can be applied in any industry. Yeah. So it means why do we say a framework? I think it's really
lightweight.
Yeah.
Why would we say it's a lightweight framework?
Why is it lightweight? What does it mean?
See what I mean? So you've got to explain the words to go through each part. Well, what would be a heavyweight framework?
Like it's stuck maybe in one way, like rigid. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I think lightweight implies that it's not rigid, but it also, I think there are.
It's easy to use in my opinion. I think that's.
Yeah, but I think there are not that many parts.
Yeah.
A heavyweight framework would have lots and lots of working parts. It would be super complex.
Okay.
Scrum, they say it's easy to it's easy to understand, but quite difficult to implement, because the implementation, even though it's very easy, it takes a little bit of manipulation, a little bit of juggling around to make it work. It's always Scrum is going to look very different in different organizations. Part of the learning about Scrum and being a Scrum Master is understanding. Mastery is about being able to walk into an environment and say, oh, I can use this in my 2-person team. I can use this whole mental framework. It's a different way of thinking. It's like the difference between an iPhone and an Android phone. It's the difference between your PC and an Apple Mac. It's just a different operating system. It's a different way of managing. When they say a framework, it's a frame that you build things on. You know, it's the building blocks that you're using is called the framework. A lot of the terminology in Scrum came from Silicon Valley because it was designed for. No, it's not true. The first Scrum teams for the first 15 or 20 years were mainly software development teams. Now it's been implemented in building aircraft, in restaurants, in lots and lots of different domains, even building sites, you know, like physical building sites, building brick walls, those type of things. They're starting to use Scrum because it has a lot of benefits. What Scrum is not, it is not a hierarchical structure like a traditional business where you have the managing director, then the executive suite, and then a layer of managers, and a layer of assistant managers, then a layer of, in restaurants, head waiters, and then a layer of waiters, and then a bar section, and then a reception section, and a kitchen section, and everything completely divided in their own independent silos that very rarely communicate with each other. It is not like that. It is not like a military organization where you see this whole, actually, let me just show you. What you doing? Oh, it's backing up a chair. Can you still see the screen now?
Yeah.
Can everybody see this? John, don't talk, please. One person talking at a time. Can everybody see that screen?
Yep.
That's a traditional company. Command and control. One person at the top giving down orders. Lots of different departments. Forget about this, because this is an evolution. That's Scrum. It's a team of teams that are constantly communicating with each other. There are no barriers. Yeah. Anybody can go into any meeting. Anybody can walk into any part of the organization at any time and find out what's going on. Everybody has access to the I'm just putting you back out. So everybody has access to all the information that they need. That's the ideal. That's the dream. So if you have a Scrum, good morning, buddy. If you have an organization, we're going to call it Scrum. People call it Agile, Scrum, whatever. Scrum is one of the Agile frameworks. Scrum actually came before Agile. Before the Agile Manifesto, Scrum was invented. So it was really one of the really early management structures that people now call Agile. Why do they call them Agile? Agility implies that you can change directions quickly, that you're flexible. If somebody's physically agile, they can stretch, they can touch the floor, they can do different things, so they're flexible. So the idea of an agile organization is that, especially in a complex adaptive environment like COVID and post-COVID, you need what are we? Are we a restaurant? Are we a bar? Are we this? Are we that? Can we do this every day? They're changing the rules. If you have a traditional hierarchical structure where you have to always ask the boss what's going on, right? How are you going to adapt quickly unless you're empowered to make decisions? So the essence of Scrum, the essence of what we're trying to do is empower every single team member down to the lowest possible level to make decisions in real time. But there'll be intelligent decisions because they're based on collaborating with team members and passing on information. So we have a framework. I'm going to run through it quickly, and then I'm going to ask John to do, and then Carol and Maria and John started the other day, and I said, what's the? Well, maybe you want to tell them how the conversation went.
Well, actually, you ask us what is the Scrum framework.
Oh, what did you say? Don't remember, right? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I say like.
So what did you end up doing?
I just try to remember.
No, but what did you end up doing?
Drawing.
No, you did something first.
Google.
Yeah, I asked Google. And what did you ask Google?
Yeah, what is the Scrum framework?
What is the Scrum framework? And then she got that picture, was the first picture that came up. She's like, oh, I remember, yeah. And then I said, okay, don't look at the picture, start mapping it out. And she did a really good job.
Try to remember
what the element, what the working parts are. So the goal of today is for you to understand the working parts, to get a quick training before lunch. Then we're going to have some lunch, and we'll break for lunch. I don't know, probably 12:30, something like that.
I'll have a meeting at 11:40.
You could go and do your meeting. That's fine, and we'll carry on while you're doing that. And then as soon as lunch is over, we'll break off into probably 2 teams, yeah, and then we'll start actually using it in a fun way. We'll play some games. We'll just do some fun stuff. Now, the goal, ultimate goal is the end of this week, as I was discussing with the rest of the team, is by Friday 4 p.m. we're ready. We could shut the door, and Monday morning we could come in and everything's ready. We're stocked, clean, ready, organized, done. That's the goal. Yeah. And at the same time, we're learning about Scrum. And as I said, anybody who wants to get a certificate and wants to really do Scrum training formally, this is the beginning of it. So the first part of the training, is that sharing with you, Al?
Yes, it is.
Is to learn about the Scrum framework. By the end of this course, so when you finish the whole course, yeah, this part of it is to explain that Scrum is a lightweight framework that can be applied in any industry and domain. So that means any type of business, basically, or any charity, or any event, or anything you want to do. You want to run events, you want to make a movie, you want to educate 12 children. They have something called Scrum, and they're taking them to schools, and the kids teach themselves. And you'll learn about what type of leaders do we have. Do you remember? Servant leaders. That the leadership in Scrum, in an agile organization, is designed to serve the team. We don't want a situation where, have we got the heating on, by the way?
I put the inside, I turn it on the inside when I arrive.
I just feel some draft. I think
Yes,
the
because
buttons
of
were
the
so thin.
ventilation,
As soon as they put the ventilation on there, you feel
Yeah.
the drop.
I do.
and the door is open, so.
Luckily, summer's coming. But for next winter, we want to get a speed controller for that fan. So we have, the whole idea is we have servant leaders, and a servant leader is a leader that creates the right environment, an environment where team members can be happy. There's a lot about team members, a lot of psychology there, that really happy teams are fast teams, and fast teams are happy teams. It doesn't mean we don't confront each other. It just means generally our default is a happy team that's working together, that understands why we're coming to work. They all have a shared vision, a shared goal of what we're trying to achieve, and they all agree on it to some extent, and are able to actually go in an autonomous way, meaning they make their own decisions on how they do the work. I don't know. This is not for everybody. Not everybody can work in this type of environment. Some people need to be told what to do, and that's okay. And it's okay for you to say, hey, you know, I didn't sleep all night last night. I can't even think about anything. What shall I do? And you just collaborate. That's okay. It happens sometimes. I often ask Carol what I should do. I've got too much stuff. I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. I'm completely confused. Where do we start? What's going to break if we don't fix it today? What's going to close the business down? Like a health and safety or a finance thing, right? Or the wages didn't get paid, or something like that. Okay, yeah, and then you reorientate yourself and you go back. But the whole idea of being in an agile organization is we're only working on one or two things at a time, and we know what those things are, and we're committed to finishing them. So you don't have, I don't know, has anybody here got several things that they've started but not finished in their life?
It was a couple of,
Yeah,
a lot of times. I try don't do that.
I
But
think,
it's just not because it's because of us. I mean, it's because of the whole system,
yeah.
That's why
No,
sometimes
it was about personal. Started something and you never finished.
No, it could be anywhere.
I mean,
It could be anywhere. It
yeah.
could be in your personal life, could be in business, could be at work or whatever. I've got too many things that we've half finished. Or we want to either decide we're not going to do them, or we're going to finish them off. And if we are going to finish them off, we prioritize them, which is the most important, and we put that at the top. So John, do you want to have a go? Use the map today and explain, if you can, what the I want the
framework.
no. Start off with the three artifacts, the three things. I'll give you a clue of which ones they are. 1, 2, 3.
Okay,
The three things.
so in Scrum, like Ricardo said, there are three artifacts. So it's the product backlog.
You need to speak clearly and take your.
So like Ricardo was saying, there are three things, three main things. The product backlog, which in translation, in our own understanding, for me personally, it's like a to-do list. After that is the sprint planning, which it means.
No. Read it.
Sprint backlog, sorry. Which it means you need to prioritize what you have in your product backlog, the most important thing, and you put them by value.
Okay, I'll take over. Let me take over.
Okay,
Let me take over. Okay,
The
start.
timing.
It's good. Now, we start off with a list. Okay, that's this one here. call it 1. And that list is a list of anything we could possibly ever do in the business. Anybody can add to the list. Yeah? But only one person is actually in charge of the list. And I'll come to that person, what they're called and so on later. But there's one person whose responsibility it is to actually look after that list and put the list in order. And what we do is we put the list in, and I'm going to draw it like this in a certain way, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm drawing it like this. At the top of the list are our highest priorities. It's good, you carry on. At the top of the list are the highest priorities. Yeah. At the bottom of the list are the things we may do at some point. You come up with an idea, you go to the person who's in charge of the list, you say, hey, I'm going to put this on the list, and you put it on the list. You may even have another list at the side of sort of someday maybe, you know, just wild ideas. Yeah. But these are things that we intend to do normally in the next 6 months. Sorry.
The person in charge of the list,
Yes.
if that person organizes it, what is on top and what is on the bottom.
Correct. Their job is to prioritize the list. This is a prioritized list.
And that is done by the person who is responsible for the list only.
Correct. Correct. We're going to call that person, it's one of these team members in
What
here.
if,
We're going to call them a product owner. In Scrum, they're going to be called a product owner.
what if I add something to my list, our
Yeah.
list? The person who, product owner, puts it on the bottom, and I think it should be in the middle.
Great question. So you're a team member, right? You're a team member, and you
Yes.
put something on the list. And the product owner puts it down at the bottom, and you think it should be at the middle or at the top. That's a really good point. Any answers on that, Alistair? The question was, what if somebody, Magda, for example, for the sake of argument, let's say that you are the product owner, and you have a prioritized list, and Magda puts something on the list, and you put it at the bottom, but she thinks it should be closer to the top.
The team can have a discussion. Magda can justify why she thinks it should be a higher priority.
So she can argue her case.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
But if we size the items, you know what's the priority.
But maybe Magda knows something that we don't as to why that should be a higher priority.
Yeah, I think so. That's why
Depending on the not size.
we will have the conversation.
But even if you are, it doesn't got nothing to do, so it's to do with value.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if
She
what
can
she
explain,
posts
yeah, why she
is related
thinks
to the first 3 things, which they are like,
Sorry, one person speaking at a time, because I do so.
I was just saying, if what she posts is related to the 3 most important things that you are in process to do, obviously you're gonna keep in mind that.
But it could be something completely random. And I get your point. Sometimes you go to another restaurant, you go, oh my God, I've seen this thing, it's incredible. If we did that, it would make so much difference.
Yeah, but as long as you have a hard argument, I think.
Then you can argue the business case. Because the product owner, his or her job, their job, is to prioritize by value.
Yeah.
No,
I've got a comment from Pash as well, Ricardo.
have we?
I've just put it on the screen.
Well, I'm sorry.
We should discuss as a team. Exactly. Pash, hello. How lovely to see you. See, it's working.
Yeah, she's on Facebook.
She's on Facebook. Pash is on Facebook and she's commenting and it's coming up onto the screen.
Okay.
By the way, we're 57 minutes in, so I've just said that, so we'll log that. So this is
Well,
starting.
another question. What
So hold on, we haven't quite finished that yet. We haven't quite finished it. You would argue the business case, right?
Yes.
Yes.
What is value?
Let me finish.
Okay.
Right? I'm very happy to answer questions, but if you let me finish what I'm going to do, yeah, then I will cover most of that stuff. I'm just going to wait for, so the question was, what is value? And that's a really, really good question, okay? This list, in most organizations, every department has their own list, and none of them are collaborated with each other. They just kind of, I heard a statistic the other day, which is a little bit weird, that 30% of work statistically in most companies is what they call dark work. It's work done that actually the company doesn't need at all. And people are doing it. They think it needs to be done. But the company, if you go talk to the people in the company who are meant to be in charge, and you say, do you realize that you're, especially in the big organizations where you've got thousands of people, do you know what your people are doing? And they find out what they're doing. Oh, they shouldn't be doing that. It's like one company was supporting some software that they didn't even sell anymore. Right? They sold it to another company, and that company had contracted to do this support, but they were still supporting it because nobody told that department. It's such a big company. They just sold the company, and these guys, we've always supported these people, so they've been supporting them. And they were spending like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on this. Just burning the money. It wasn't their responsibility. So, and it happens all the time. So there's all this dark work. Maria, you okay?
Yeah, just give me a second here, because I guess we have the order for the morning.
What's that? Is that for today?
Oh, yes, I got it on Thursday, but yeah.
Huh?
I got it on Thursday, yeah. I didn't put it through, but I gave the list to the chef. I gave it to them.
At what time?
The usual time, and I don't know what that means.
12 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just give me
perfect.
a moment, I will put it.
Perfect time. Okay, we'll carry on. So, that's it. So, going on to this list. This list is a really, really important one. If you want a really healthy organization, you have one list for the whole business, and each team pulls from the list. I'm just going to wait for. So how do I? I can't really see if people are still there. Can we see who's on Facebook, for example? Can you actually see by looking at? Oh, I see. Okay. But where do you see people? Got 5 comments. Got 5. What here?
You have this one person.
Oh, I see. Okay. But where do you see people? Got 5 comments. There. Oh, I see. Good. This is a really important point. In a really healthy company, you will have one list, and all the teams will pull from that list. Pickle, you all right? Come on, baby. I'm sorry, the dog hasn't been very well, so she's got an infection on the side. Come on, baby. Come on down. Go. So if we talk about a restaurant, we'd have our prioritized list would be for the whole restaurant, and the kitchen would come and pull from here, and the front of house would come and pull from here. Or sometimes you might have each department, marketing might have their list, front of house might have their list, kitchen might have their list, but it means that the product owners, the people in charge of the list, need to talk a lot to each other to make sure that they're collaborating on the same things. Yes?
So you would have, if you have separate lists, then you have, like, for instance, 2 separate lists, then you have 2 product owners.
You would have 2 product owners.
No one.
Each team should have a product owner.
Okay, but if there's one list for everything in the restaurant, then the product owner is just one, yes?
No, every team has a product owner.
Different,
Yeah. If you have multiple teams, then there's one product owner who's in charge of the master list.
Yeah.
And then all the product owners will take their parts out of that and prioritize what they're doing so that the teams know that if you're going to be working on anything, you always work on the number one item.
So you would always divide the list anyway according to the teams that you have, yeah? Or is there just one list? Or you always
If we're
divide it
starting a
by
new project, we'd get all of the teams together in one room, right? If we're starting a brand new business, we'd get everybody into one room in a perfect world, right? And we'd say, right, what do we need to do? Where are we going? And everyone would just start putting stuff up on Post-its on the wall
You're going
or
to
on the floor or whatever it is, right?
Some of them we are going to do this today.
No, but I'm just wondering, maybe it's easier for me to understand. So if you've got a kitchen in front of house, for instance, would we have one list together, or are they divided into the kitchen?
I would get the kitchen and the front of house together, and this is what we're going to do once we boot up, right? We just can't put kitchen people right now,
Of course.
but some of us will represent the kitchen.
And then
And we're going to say, right, okay, our vision, right? This person is the person who translates the vision of what we call stakeholders. A stakeholder is a customer, employee, team member, any team member, suppliers, professionals, accountants, lawyers, anybody who has an interest, shareholders, executives, anybody who has an interest, their job is to take the vision of those people and make the vision, turn it into a prioritized list that meets the needs of the stakeholders. Because you've got to remember is that we say, okay, this is the conversation we had the other day about bookings. We started thinking about the bookings from our viewpoint, but as soon as we started thinking about the bookings from the customer's viewpoint, we changed our idea on how we might discuss that or what we might do with the booking. Right? So now we've got another stakeholders, but then you might turn around and say, well, hold on a second. The finance department is a stakeholder, and they say, hey, you can't do it like that. You can't just keep the customers happy all the time, because if you only do what the customers want, we're never going to make enough money, we're going to go bankrupt, whatever, right? So they give their input, everybody does, so we start to prioritize the list based on listening to everyone. This person's job would be to spend 50% of their time with the customer and 50% of their time with everybody else. They actually work on the team. They do the work of the team with the team members. But they spend a lot of time with the customer. And their job is to try to prioritize this list. On the basis that we know it's physically impossible to do two things at the same time. And if you do one thing and you do it to completion, you're going to do it a lot faster than if you try and do two things simultaneously. Now, one of the things we always try to do in Scrum is we try to make sure that we have the minimum amount of outside dependencies from the team so that we can actually finish stuff without waiting for other people to do things. So we're trying to either have a team that is so skilled that we can do all the things we need to do, or reduce the scope of what we're producing to within our capabilities. So if we had to have a graphic designer to create a new menu every day, with a graphic designer and he comes in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you couldn't adapt fast enough for the organization. So it's how do we print our own menus so that when we run out of something, I can even print it in the middle of the service. I'm not waiting for an admin person or a different department to do something. I can just literally just go on and do it. And you found that yourself. When now all the team members who have been here, we try to train them so that they can learn how to do the website updates, EPOS system updates and so on. People are learning that.
Because everybody's responsible for everything. Yes.
Can I ask one more
Yeah,
question?
please.
Just for me to understand.
I want,
It's
important.
So there can be more than one product owner. There is the highest product owner, let's say, prioritizing the list of all.
If you had a big
departments.
organization,
But you would have like product owners
you'd
from
have
the
a
kitchen
chief product owner.
and product owners from the front of house, and then product owner is.
You may have two front of house teams. In an ideal world, you have stable teams. So you have the same people working together every day. When we were opening the next restaurant, just before COVID, we were due to open in this last Easter. We were meant to open the other restaurant. We were talking about having a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday team and a Thursday, Friday, Saturday team. And the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday team, every other week they do a Sunday, and the Thursday, Friday, Saturday team every other week would do a Sunday. So they'd share Sundays every other week, but you'd have the same people. Yeah? Kitchen and front of house. So you'd have the same teams working together. That way you could really get some stability going and get people collaborating with each other and not have to pass information all the time, every day, to multiple combinations of different people. This is why I said the framework is simple. Implementing it into your specific business, that's where it starts to get a little bit. And the beauty of this is, what I love about it is it really encourages you to try little experiments. Yeah, we're trying small experiments to see, did that make things better or worse? If it made it better, we carry on doing it. If it made it worse, we stop it altogether. Yeah. And if it's a small experiment where you're only changing one thing at a time, it's very easy to see if it works. If you change 6 things, you don't know which bit of it is working and which bit of it isn't. So that's why I want to try to change it. If it was a bit of machinery, we change a small piece, we run the machine. Did it improve performance or not? Did the car go faster? Did it use less gas? Did it do the thing? Did it improve it or not? Oh, it improved it. Okay, good. Let's keep that. Oh no, it made it faster, but it used so much gas. Okay, it made it faster. That's interesting. Could we change it again and make less gas but keep the speed? So that we've got that conversation constantly going. Scrum, I said, and it's really funny because I looked this up this morning, and I promise you I had this insight yesterday, but I realized I'm not original because a whole bunch of other people have said it. I said, it's not like an orchestra where you have one person leading the whole orchestra. It's like a jazz band where people improvise. I hear you playing a good tune. Oh, that sounds good. Let me try that. And I'm trying that. Oh, that sounds good. And then you try something else. And we make beautiful music. But it's not like you're following the script. Yeah? But you're kind of still in tune. You're still playing with respect to other people. So you play together as a team. But if you do it well, you make beautiful music. But it's not asking somebody to be the supreme architect and say, I have all the answers, right? Don't think. Just come to work and do what I tell you to do. What they do in the army, right? Don't think. Follow orders. Special forces, go think. Order, think. Because you've got like 5, 6 people in a small team, you go, they kill 300 people. They'll blow up a big building. Yeah? And nobody knows what they're doing. Things that they collaborate, and they talk to each other, and they communicate just by looking at each other because they know each other so well. That's kind of where you want to go. You want to be this fluid organization. So you've got this list. Organized by value. What is value? Value is whatever is valuable to the organization. What is the most valuable thing right now? If we were a non-profit organization, it would be totally different from an organization that was just purely profit-driven. For me, I'm really interested in healthy eating, creating a healthy environment for the team. So that's going to influence what I consider valuable. And so because I'm a stakeholder in the business, And also I know, I've been here long enough that I know the customers quite well. I can guide the product owner. If I'm not the product owner myself, I can guide the product owner as to what I feel should be the most important thing. But ultimately, I can't tell the product owner what to put at the top. Even the boss, even the guy, I can't tell him, put that to the top. He has to decide. If I don't think he's doing a good job, I could say to the team, I seriously recommend that we remove this person from the job for the moment, find another job for them in the team, and let's get somebody else to be the product owner. I've got that influence. But any team member can do that. If the team don't feel that the product owner is doing the best thing for the company, they could turn around and say, we don't think that this person should be product owner. Yeah. And the Scrum Master's role is to teach the product owner how to be a good product owner. That's why Scrum Master is such an important role.
Who would be a Scrum Master? You?
I'm training you all to be Scrum Masters. This is the qualification. So you're full of good questions. I like this. Magdi comes to training you today, okay?
No, it's good because now we can explain now.
It's really important. And the more questions like that you feed. So does that cover value, or do you want me to go more? Yeah? So value can change, and we'll talk more about value.
Because you mentioned not value, but by
So I missed size. I was confused. Yeah.
Well, so at the top, so one of so this is why I've drawn it like this. As we're getting closer to, let's say this week, we're committing to doing this chunk here. And I'll explain why. You see, we started to break it down into smaller things. We started to define it more. Because in an agile organization, you never really know what you're going to be doing 2 or 3 months down the line. If you look at Spotify, my friend Henrik, who did all of the agile implementation at Spotify, he did these 2 fantastic 1-hour videos on YouTube about that. He had to take them down because he said 9 months after I made the video, it was completely out of date. They don't do that anymore. They change. They change the whole organization because they're evolving so fast. Somebody said Tesla evolves at the speed of thought, because now they have all these computers and these robots building everything. Somebody thinks something, they put it in the computer, it's evolved the whole company already. And the whole manufacturing process evolves. The second somebody thinks something, they put it in the computer, the whole thing changes. So it's like, that's how fast these companies are evolving. So
Amazon as well.
Sorry?
Amazon as well.
Amazon as well. Amazon has 3,200 Scrum teams implementing Scrum projects every second of every day. Something is changing in the Amazon portal. Every second of every day. Imagine. And a compounding effect of that. That's why they're the richest company in the world. So you're in really good company if you become a great Scrum team, number one. Number two, we give Harvard Business School a really more to write about in the second part of the case study. Yeah, so I think it's a fun thing to do. Number three, if you get to become a qualified Scrum Master, when you move on from here and you do something else, it's a really valuable skill to have. Yeah, so I think that it's good for all of us to learn this stuff and learn it properly.
You can use it for your own stuff as well.
I spend a lot of money, and since 2016, I've been consuming this stuff. I'm talking to the founder of Scrum. I'm a trainer under the company that actually created Scrum. And I've been to Tesla, I've been to Bosch, I've been to lots of different companies learning and watching what they do. And so I can guide you. But I know also any questions I don't have the answer to, I know where to find them. So we've got some really good friends like Joe and Jeff Sutherland and Gabrielle Benfield.
We've had some more comments from Pash, Ricardo.
Yes, please. What are they?
It's true, yeah.
Do you want to facilitate that? Since Scrum has been implemented at the restaurant, what made everything easier was to teach to every member of staff how to do every section, like barman, reception, stocks, so service could be faster. Yeah, that's a really good point. So to give you a little bit of background, when we, Maria, Carol, and John know this, but when we used to have managers, and when I said, hey, let's implement Scrum, the manager and the head chef decided to leave, right? They didn't want to give up power. I've worked all my life for this power, I don't want to give it up. So we did, and then when they did, I said to the team, hey, do you want to have a go at running your own rota and being in charge of your own rota, or do you want a manager? And they said, no, let's have a go. So we started doing that. This is the evolution, but there was in the early days, everybody had their own post-its, and they were all here, co-located on that board there by the screen, and they were just putting big rota up and then created it. We discovered 15% hidden shifts, meaning we had 15% more people working than we needed because the manager really didn't want to run out of people. They want to make sure if somebody was on holiday or whatever, there were always an abundance of people. Somebody was off sick, they didn't want to have to come to work and work in the service. So the team managed to find that, right? They said, oh, we got all these post-its left over because we figured out what the company needed by having the ticks. And then suddenly they had, oh, I've got all these extra shifts. So we worked out, so that 15, in some months when we did an audit, it was 30% more than we needed.
And the team members start learning more about the business. Like John was just barman when I started working here. Now he can do a lot of other things.
But do you remember what the catalyst was? What the catalyst for that was?
No.
It was me saying, hey guys, I don't want to police, because Carol used to spend hours working at holidays. So we said, okay, we're going to pay you your hourly rate in your holidays, so you can have as much holiday as you want.
Yeah,
your holiday gets paid in advance, and you can have as much holiday as you want, right? But there was one rule, is if you were a barman, you could only have a holiday if somebody else could do the bar, right? You're not going to turn around and say, hey, oh, you need to employ another barman. No, you've got to teach other team members to do the bar, so when you go on holiday, they can do that. And suddenly, whereas people used to be quite protective of their job, suddenly they were like, oh, hey, come and learn my job. I want to have a day off tomorrow. And that really made it, and that's what Pash was talking about on that comment. Thank you, Pash. So you've got product backlog is what you call that. And the reason we call it a product backlog, owned by the product owner, the reason we use the words product backlog or product owner is we're trying to have a common language. So when other people from other teams and other companies come and talk about Scrum, we talk about the same thing. But basic product backlog is a prioritized list. Yeah? And what Carol was saying is we size the list, we size the items. How big is that compared to that? Compared to something we already know. So let's say if I said to you, compared to setting up all the tables and the mise en place, yeah, in the restaurant, putting glasses, napkins, everything, salt, pepper, and everything in the morning, right? If we just said, for the sake of argument, that is 7 points. Yeah. How many points would be setting up the bar? Just guess for you. Everybody think of a number. Just setting up the bar on its own. If we said 7 points, I've just made up the number, right? We said 7 points. How many points would be setting up the bar? You got your number?
I'm thinking about it.
Okay, have you got a number yet? Tell me when you got a number.
I do.
But don't tell me what the number is. You got it? Have you got a number?
Yes.
Okay.
But this is,
Okay.
the number
Now,
is.
don't change your number, okay? Just commit to not changing your number. Okay? Normally we'd write it down on a piece of paper and then we would show everybody. Just everybody say your number.
6,
4,
9,
3.
3. Right. So now we take the two furthest apart, 9 and 3. I said 4, you said 6. We're close enough. We could take the average. And I say, why do you think it's a 9?
Yes, okay, not.
Yeah, and I'd say, why do you think it's a 3? And I'd let them talk to each other. And then we'd listen as a group, and then we would vote again. Yeah, we have little cards actually. We have cards with numbers on them. So we'd vote again. And then when we're quite close to each other, we just take the average. We say, okay, we'd say that's a, let's say you had a discussion and you both said, okay, that's a 6, and you said that's a 4, and you said that, we might say it's a 5. Yeah, we'd agree. And it's really weird that human beings are much better at estimating relative size than they are in estimating time. So if you say, how long will that take, versus what's the size of that compared to what they call reference jobs. So a reference job would be something you already know, and you give it an arbitrary number, and then you say, compared to that, how big is that? The team knows. And if you've never done it before, you might phone someone and say, we don't know. Compared to that, how big do you think that is? I've never done this before. And they go, oh, there's lots of hidden problems in that thing. It's going to take you twice as long as you think it's going to take. It's going to be double the size. So we estimate it 5. Okay, let's call it 10. So we now got an arbitrary number here that so we got our numbers. So we've got number 1, number 2. And we say, how many points? Okay, that's 3 points, that's 5 points, that's 7 points. We stop together as we break it down. We don't define too much what these things are because they're too far away. We only start to define them as we come up closer to being done. So we want to have about 2 weeks worth of to-dos that are quite well defined. And by well defined, I mean you could come in the morning, you could take the piece of paper and start working on it without asking anybody any questions. That's your ideal. Yeah? So that is what they call ready. It's ready. It's ready when everybody understands what it means and they can come in without asking anybody else and they can actually work on it. Yeah? Let's have a break. Yeah? 5-minute break?
Yeah, then we have less than 1 hour left. For sure.
Al, we're going to have a 5-minute coffee break.
Okie dokie.
How are we doing, by the way? Is this any good?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And it's nice to mix the different things and put Pash's comments on the screen.
What happens with the broadcast? Can we pause it?
I don't think so.
Could you put a PowerPoint on your screen saying back in 5 minutes and just share your screen? So keep the stream rolling, but if anybody jumps on it now, they know that you're going to be back soon.
Yeah, I'll create one here in that Google Slides. Can you see? I don't know if you can see the screen.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I can.
Can you see that?
I can see it down the bottom in the preview. Back in 5 minutes.
So if I do that, has that made it the live?
You need to go, if you go back to the back in 5 minutes, yeah, and then can you do start present top right, then it's full screen?
Can I put a timer on it?
Oh, you can.
We have the timer, but just.
Oh, I tell you, oh no. Can I put a timer in one of these or not?
Yes, I remember what it is. Yes, video clips. Well, there's a 30-second countdown timer. Have you got? Yeah, if you've got a web page with a countdown timer, that would work. Just share that web page. You know, if you Google 5-minute timer. And then click the full screen over to the right, that little icon. Just next
But I
to the
wonder
screen.
if I can embed it into that. It'd be quite cool, wouldn't it, if you could embed
I'll
it
do
in.
5-minute timer embed then. Just search for that. Put embed on the end. There you go. Oh, it's saying set a video.
Anyway, I'll just do the Google one for the moment. I think that's good. And we can figure out, because I think that'd be quite good fun, wouldn't it?
We're going to do it with Scrum.
See you in a minute.
Okay.
So, okay, Sophie put some stuff in each order that she was asking me yesterday. I said to her, just write down. Okay. And we can make it, all the orders together. So that everyone knows where and how to do the work.
How are we doing?
Good.
Is this good?
Yeah.
Useful?
Useful. It will be more useful if we will finish all what we put in the backlog. Because sometimes it's
Hi, Ricardo.
Interrupt if you think I need to cover something, or you think there's something I'm missing, or you want to add something that we're discussing. And also, just write some notes on timestamps of things that you think are important. For example, we're now 1 hour 39 in. So if we write down those times. Yeah, we're going to cover, but now you understand that.
Pash has just said she's back.
Hello, Pash. So glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining. The ultimate goal would be that we could all stay at home and learn at home and do that, yeah, and not have to come in. But because we're going to be doing some physical work at the moment, but once we've done the physical work and we got ourselves ready, and then when we start to do more of this certification training and so on, we can do a lot of that on Zoom when you're at home, so you can have your study stuff and write and use your computers and so on. I'm going to go quick now. I'm not going to wait for John.
I think he has his meeting or whatever.
Ah, yes, he's got a phone call. Big list. We have something in Scrum called a sprint. And a sprint, by the way, this is a timestamp 1 minute 41. Sprint can be any length of time, but you should be a regular cadence. You cannot have a 1 week sprint if the product you're building takes 2 weeks to build, because at the end of the week, you don't have anything to show anyone. So some products take a long time to build. So, sorry, they take a long time to build. So the sprint length will be determined by how long it is to build. But in an ideal world, the big companies, the best, fastest companies are running 1 or 2 week sprints. There is a version of Scrum where you never have a finish line, and they call it Kanban, but I'll explain. And that's just constant motion. You're taking the list and you're constantly working on it, but you have a thing called a work in progress limit, so you're only ever allowed to work on a certain number of things. So when you finish one, you take another. When you finish one, you take another. When you finish one, you take another. A little bit like a restaurant running in the service. Oh, finish that, you replenish. You finish that, you replenish. What Scrum is really nice for is it tries to get, in a set period of time, something finished so that you can give it to someone and let them test it. Now, that could be intangible, like a new way to welcome a customer. And the person who's testing it could be internal or external. It could be a new recipe. So in the internal one, I saw Alejandro's frowning. An internal one would be, let's say, we've discovered a new way to welcome the guest, or to take a booking for a party, for example. And I might watch Magda take a booking for a party and use the new form. And I go, wow, that was really good. Then I demonstrate that to the other team members. The other team members say, yeah, we worked with it for a week. It's really much better than the last one we had. So it could be the thing we're building is just an improvement of the process.
Can you give an example about the sprint, because I didn't really understand?
I'll come back to that in 1 second. So the thing we're building could be a product for a customer. It could be somebody your engagement party, you're coming here with your husband or wife, to be your future husband or wife, your fiance, and you're going to try, and we've got 3 weeks to create the thing, right? Because the party's in 3 weeks' time. So we could have the first version by the end of this week. Look, this is what one table will look like. This is what our ideas, and you maybe even got the artist to do a little sketch. Think that this is the basic table plan. Oh, I love it. Or, no, that's not what I had in mind at all. I want everything white. Or, oh, I hate white. I want everything red, or whatever it might be, right? So you get feedback as quick as you can. So your sprints, and I will explain what that is in a second, you try to do it in the shortest period of time you can to get feedback so that you can improve what you're doing. Because it's what they call an iterative process. It's like an evolution. An iteration is like a different version. It's incremental improvement. We're making small improvements. Today I do 1 press up. Tomorrow I do 2. I do 2 for about 3 days. Then I have a rest. Then next week I do 3. And then next week, so I'm building slowly. I'm not trying to go straight into doing 50 push-ups. Right? So it's an iterative process. So the sprint is a defined period of time that we all agree we're going to work on in order to, on a regular basis. So most companies are using 1 week or 2 weeks. Yeah? You could have your sprints being a shift. In the restaurant business, it could be a day. And I'll explain why a day, we tried it with a day, and I'll explain why that's not such a good idea. David, watch what's going on. I'm just trying to avoid it, and then if you come once to hide. I'm live on Facebook, hiding.
You are not lucky.
Very good. So, a sprint. We're talking about a week-long sprint. Sprint is, do you know what the difference between sprinting and jogging is?
Yes.
What's a sprint?
Sprint is short distance, very fast, maximum energy, and jog.
Yeah, exactly. Love it.
And
did you hear that, Al? Short distance, very fast, maximum energy.
Great.
Love it.
but is the sprint just a normal week, or is it the sprint like if you develop a product, like you're building something, for instance, you have a week to build it, and then you test it, and then you have a week to improve it? Is it like?
Yes,
okay.
exactly. That's what you do. Like Joe Justice, who's our friend, and he's been here a few times, he used to build cars, and he'd build cars like they were meant to be highly economical cars, and everyone built to order to your specification. So I'd say, okay, we're doing the seats this week. We work on the seats, and we might do a little bit of the suspension. So he discovered that because he had people in 40 different countries in the world all building his cars in containers. You know those metal containers that they have that they put on ships and stuff? He had they were the workshops. Each one had a container, and they had welding staff and things. So he broke the car into 8 modules, and each one was separate, but they could always attach to the other part of the other modules, always in the same place. So they had stable points of attachment, but it meant you could take it off and you could go and change the suspension, or you could take the body off and change the whole body, or you could change the seats, but the seats always clipped onto the bodywork and the chassis in the same place. So you could go and do a totally new design of the car in all the different things, and then just come back with all the pieces and put them together again. So every week they were coming up with it, and their test, their demo at the end of the week, in their sprint review or their demo, was drive the car. You know, if you were one of his purchaser, I think they were selling for 40 grand or something like that. It was a non-profit thing. They were doing it as an experiment. And he had volunteers from 40 different countries in the world doing this for several years. They won several Guinness Book of World Records and things, and it was a great success. But they would change that car every single week. They'd have a new version. So the idea is you're constant, the Japanese call it Kaizen, and it means constant, never-ending improvement. You're always trying to improve. Nothing stays the same. It's a bit like your body. If you're either getting fitter or you're not. You're never going to stay the same. But like, I'm fit now. Yeah, I just stay there, right? Or it's like clean. I'm clean now. Yeah, you have to have a shower every day or brush your teeth every day. It's a constant thing. So it's the same with improvement. You're either improving or you're getting worse. And now with this different world, you've constantly got to evolve because things change. 15 years ago, nobody knew what gluten-free was. Now everybody expects it. I put gluten-free here 20 years ago, and everyone said, "What do you got this crap?" Well, my father used to argue with me all the time. Well, they're gluten-free bullshit, blah, blah, blah. They don't understand. Now, they it's well evolved. So if you stay the same, you're just going to be like a dinosaur. So, sprint. Got it? Yeah. Why are we not running daily sprints? Any idea? We did when we first started, didn't we, in the restaurant?
Yeah.
We ran weekly sprints in the marketing department and daily sprints in the restaurant.
Yeah, but it's very difficult for me. What are we working on as a chef, for instance? What is the product that we're developing?
Yeah, exactly. It was very difficult because we had so much business as usual work that we were just catching up with stuff to actually get time to improve things or doing things. You just couldn't make meaningful progress. So with the kitchen, I said, okay, can you give me half an hour before every shift? And they go, yeah, sure. So that was 1 hour a day where we were going to do innovative works, new works. Yeah. But 1 hour a day times 4 people times 7 was 28 hours a week. That's not bad. In 28 hours, you could do a lot. So when we did it and it was working, we made a lot of innovation really quickly. But because we didn't have the structure in place, we didn't keep it going for long enough, it fell down. What I want to do now is to start to implement. Great point. If you had what are we trying to improve? How do you improve? In an ideal world, because you have, that's slightly premature. So can I park that question? Yeah. What are we improving? And I'll run by and I'll come back. Because let me explain how the structure works. You've got a team. On the team, you have one person whose job it is to make the team faster, to make the team happier, to remove any obstruction, we call them impediments, anything that's slowing you down. It's that one person or one role in that team. Then you have somebody who's like the creative mind, who has the vision. What are we working on? What's the priority? So you build the right thing fast, right? With quality, okay? And then you have a team whose only job it is to build, right? Take all the problems away from me, give me a functioning computer, a functioning printer, and I'm going to build the stuff and do it. The printer's broken, it's an impediment. That person's job was to go and get it fixed. Hey, it's slowing us down, this is slowing us down. Yeah, that's what in new businesses, that's the executive. If you go to Saab Aeronautics, where they make the Griffin fighter plane, it's a beautiful plane. They make it for $78 million, and the closest American version of that is like $500 million, and they do the same thing, right? They're super efficient. The whole executives, when 8 o'clock, they have to get all their work done by 8 o'clock in the morning, because at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're on call to fix problems that the teams can't fix. Anything that's slowing the teams down, they have to fix it. That's their whole job. So they're doing that role. Yeah. So So you have one person in the team whose job it is to have the vision, find out what the vision is, what everybody needs and wants, and then go to the team and say, hey, can we build this? Do we have the capability of building this? The team goes, yeah, we can build it. And then the other person whose job is to make sure the team have a great environment, yeah, and that they're happy, they're motivated, they turn up on time, they finish on time, they don't take work home. You want to have people have a life, right? And we work on the process. We want to work, how do we make that faster? How do we make that better, right? So that's the team. There's only 3 roles in Scrum. And people say, what is career progression when you're running a Scrum team? And I say, well, to me, it's business owner. Because I want to teach you how to run this business. One day you can have your own business. And I think that's become real for you now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Because his girlfriend, fiance, she has her own business. So you can see yourself running a business with her one day, whatever. She's an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
It's a different thing. I used to say to him all the time, learn this stuff, because one day you're going to want to have your own business. And now it's real. Carol's got it. She's got it. She's starting her own business. I want her to. I want to encourage anybody who wants to run their own business. Learn what we're learning, and let's all put our minds together to help each other in whatever we're doing outside of the restaurant.
And then we offer bits of what I learned here from my clients, and it works.
Yeah. Lucy did the same. She bought a whiteboard. She asked me for where could I get a whiteboard. I bought her one on Amazon, gave it to her. She was running all her studies off that when she first started.
She actually has an interview in.
Yeah.
Like this Scrum Training.
She's been headhunted by a Scrum company, and they want her to go in as a Scrum Master. So that's great. She spent her life savings on her own. She spent $2,000 to train in Scrum with the founder. So we have a list. We have another list. And that says, in the next sprint or the next week, what do we as a team commit? Because nobody's telling you what to do. We're saying if you're going to do anything, the product owner is saying if you're going to do anything, do that first. Yeah, because that's our priority.
So you take from the priority, you take to the sprint list.
Perfect. You take from this list, and you
But from the top.
From the top. And you say, what can we commit to finishing, to getting that's testable by the end of this week?
We do the sprint. Yeah.
Yeah. So, team does that, and that's what they call sprint planning. So you plan what you're going to take into the next sprint. That meeting should never be more than an hour. Okay? So you need to have the backlog ready. So at some point during the week, the product owner and the team need to meet to make sure that we've got, because we're getting so fast now, we're getting so good that we're eating all of this stuff. We're just consuming it. We're down here already, and it's the end of the week. Now we have got all this stuff, we don't even know what that is. That's just big picture stuff. We haven't defined it, refined it. We couldn't start working on that because we don't know what it is. Now, think about this, right? Think about the difference between who here has cooked a cake ever in their life? Okay, who knows how to cook any cake without looking at the recipe? Right, okay, good. This is really good. Okay. So if I say, could you cook that cake? Do you need to write a list of what you want, or would you just go to the supermarket, just pick up what you need, go home and cook it?
I can do both ways.
Yeah, so you could do both, right? So you don't need to define in big, I could just give you one thing and say, what's the cake? You give me the name of the cake.
Red velvet.
Huh?
Red velvet.
Red velvet.
Red velvet.
Red velvet. So if I just said to you, one red velvet, please, yeah, you could just go and do it, right? Magda or me, we couldn't because we don't know what red velvet is. So we'd have to look it up. We'd have to say, oh, what are the ingredients? We'd have to write the ingredients. So our backlog, because we never made red velvet, would look very different than your backlog. And an experienced team, you just give them a story, which is as a customer, I want a cold option for all of the dishes on a hot day. Yeah? And you just give that to an experienced chef, and he goes, yeah, gazpacho, vitello tonato, I might do a mint and zucchini soup, I might do maybe some cold salmon with mayonnaise. Start to come out if you've got experience. But if you've never done it before, you'd sit down as a team, you say, what do we do? I don't know about cold things. So you'd go online and you'd find cold recipes, and then you start writing, your list would look different. That's what I'm trying to say. So really experienced teams, I say, prepare for a party tomorrow, right? And what do you ask me? How many people? What time? Yeah, what are they eating? That's all you need to know. It's a set lunch. Get me a set menu for 4 people, £40 a head. Yeah, with a half bottle of wine. And you can figure it out, right? New person couldn't do that. They need a lot more planning and a lot more organization. So we start with our list. We're always updating our list so that we've got enough working items in the list so that any of the team members can come along, just pick it up and go, oh, I get that, I can just do it. Yeah. Preferably they're working together, like that Scrum team. They're starting to work together. We've done sprint planning. We said we commit to doing this by the end of the week, by the end of the sprint. Okay. And now we've got our team. Now the team, in a perfect world, are made up of what we call, how are we doing for time, by the way?
20 minutes.
T-shaped people. You have a broad skill, and you have deep skill. And by that, I mean, yeah, a chef, a head chef, they have several deep skills. He knows how to do pasta. He knows how to do the grill. He knows how to do the salad. He knows how to do the dessert. And this is the head chef. He's got full deep skill on all of those areas. He may know a little bit about accounting. He can do a costing, for example. He can understand the thing. He may know a bit about marketing. He may know a little bit about front of house. He might have worked a couple of shifts. John is very much like that. He knows most of the area. I wouldn't say he's that deep. He's quite deep on most of it. He's probably about here on the kitchen. Yeah, on the bar, his front of house skill set's really, really big. And runner, right? Because bar, you know, doesn't know every cocktail, but he knows how to find it. Yeah. But he's not like a 10 years as a cocktail barman who would be, you know, he'd have a very deep skill. So we have a T-shaped person who they're multi-skilled people who can build the thing we're trying to build. So if we have plenty of those, and if one person has more here and maybe a bit less here, and then they've got quite a lot here, and they think everybody has their own experience, and that's where you would normally have a difference in pay. You might take 10 years to get to a deep overall, so of course you're going to earn more than a kitchen porter who only knows how to make one. Morning. Yeah, cool. Downstairs. Yeah. Turn right. Yeah. Thank you. So you've got T-shaped people, multi-skilled people, yeah, and you have a cross-functional team, meaning you have all of the jobs needed within the team to get the job done. If you can get that, you can go really fast. If you have outside dependencies and you have lots of departments, it's just going to, all of that is going to slow you down. So when we're building with our backlog, we could turn around and say, okay, we're only going to build things that we can build. So the product owner is constantly talking to them, say, what can we build? Team, what can we build? Yeah. We're not a Michelin star restaurant. We can't build that stuff. We could, with time, but not quickly. But if you've been doing it for 15 years, you just say, oh, I go bang, 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 I need a special gelatine, I need a fountain of prawns. And my old chef who taught me to cook, he could do that. Yeah, like with his eyes shut. But it was a skill set, and I never learned that.
Thank you.
So you got the team.
Okay.
Team meets every day, equal to or less than 15 minutes. They're pre-shift meetings. We can do 2 of those a day because we have one before lunch and one before dinner. So it just makes sense, especially if you've got different people working at lunch and dinner. But if you had the same people working lunch and dinner, your pre-shift probably lasts 30 seconds. Okay, same sections, same things. No, I'll swap with you. Go in, I'll go out. Okay, good, done. Still got everything? Yeah, we've got everything. You've got a brand new team working together as you go through the list, and, you know, in detail. At the end of the sprint, you get your increment. Doesn't mean you can't have it before the end of the sprint. Because if you finish it halfway through the week, yeah, and the product owner goes, that's good enough, we can start giving that to customer, you can start giving it to them on Wednesday, well, let's work on the next thing. So we bring the next thing into the sprint. So although I'm committed to finishing these 10 things, if I finish them by Wednesday, we can then turn around and say, do we want to take the rest of the week off? Yeah, or do we want to do some more stuff? Either way, it's okay. It's your choice as a team.
Just one observation.
Yeah.
The team is product owner, Scrum Master, and the develop team. So it's like who's in front of the house, there are 3 of you.
Hello guys, good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Just to let you know, I don't have plans and no spaghetti.
No spaghetti.
No spaghetti.
Coming tomorrow, yeah?
We do it.
Thank you, Mary.
Nothing.
Do you need to put on the review?
So this is a really good point.
Yeah.
Right? If you're in a 2-man team, you still have the 3 roles. Sorry, 2-person team. If you're in a 1-person team, you still have the 3 roles. You just have to put a different hat on. Because what you find is, and this is really fascinating. It's a whole new study on its own. Is that brainwaves are totally different when you're solving problems or when you're being creative. Totally different. You're using a totally different part of your brain. Yeah. When you're doing the work, you kind of go in between the two. Kind of doing that. Because it's random. But when you're being highly creative, your brain waves are off somewhere else. So it's really important to separate those 3 things. Yeah, we're doing the work, because you need different things. Otherwise, you go so slow. You know, sometimes you just get in the class, you think, oh, I can't think. Think about this thing all the time. It's a different thing. It's because you start to relax. You let go. Your brain goes into a different place. You go into that reverie place, or you try to remember somebody's name. I can't remember. You're driving down the road, bang, suddenly you remember, oh yeah, it's Joey. Yeah. So it's a different place you want to go. The end, when we've got the increment, we've got the thing we're building, we do a review, we look at it, we get feedback. Yeah. Then we have another, and that's a meeting. Then we have another meeting here as a retrospective, and the retrospective is only one role, one job of that meeting. How did we work together as a team this week? Yeah, and how can we take one improvement and put that at the top of our list next week and make the first thing we do to improve how we work together? What is going to make us happier or faster? Because they know that happy teams are fast teams, and fast teams are happy teams.
So the first meeting is about the product and the reviews, and the second meeting is about the team.
This is about getting feedback for what we build.
Yeah.
This is about getting feedback on how we work together. And it doesn't mean that you can't have a quick one of these as part of your daily stand-up. But it just means formally we need to sit down. And again, these should be short. The retrospective is equal or less than 45 minutes. Yeah, sprint review, the best sprint review I've ever seen was this one. There you go. This is Tesla, right? To look, this is looking at the durability of a roof tile. This is their test. That's the Tesla one. Look, all the others broke. Tesla glass roof tile didn't break. That's it. That's the test. You know, does that pass the test? Sorry, I show that to you again. In case anybody else is still here. So that was a test. Another one, when we were at Bosch, the guy said they had a little box, and they said the goal was, by the end of this week, we have a box that can take a room from 10 degrees to 20 degrees in 30 minutes. So they took it to 10 degrees with an air conditioner. They turn off the air conditioner. They put the box on. They set a timer for 30 minutes. They walked in 30 minutes later, looked at the thermometer. Yeah, it was 21 degrees. Done. That doesn't have to be that complicated. It can be eat the dish. It could be thing. But you've got the demo. You're getting feedback. Do I need to improve it more, or is it good enough? If it's good enough, I can work on the next one. If it's not, I can discuss now. Is it still a priority, or is it good enough really to get into? The product owner might go, it's not good enough, but we've gone past it because it's Valentine's was last week and not until next week. So that's going to go right down the bottom to next year, and let's work on number 2. Or they may turn around and say, no, let's just do a little bit of this, just to improve it a little bit this week, but let's mainly focus on number 2. Product owner can decide that and negotiate. They have something called invest criteria, and invest criteria for backlog items. Invest is the second part. So I is independent, meaning we don't need other people in other teams to help us. N is negotiable, and it means can the team negotiate? Can the stakeholders negotiate with the product owner? If it's no, then you're not running Scrum.
Wednesday lunch.
Like you said at the beginning. What about if my backlog item's down there and I think you should be here? You can't negotiate that. You're not having it. You don't have an agile team. If I say no, it's got to be like that, bang. You're not running Scrum. And that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's okay. Sometimes, I said the other day, something happened and it became a bit of an emergency. And the thing that was meant to have happened didn't happen. So I said, oh, screw it, I'll come in. Paul, be here tomorrow morning, 5 o'clock. We were there at 5 o'clock. I just took control. I did the thing myself. I bypassed everybody. That is not Scrum. Scrum is you get everybody in, we work on it together. I just went straight to command and control, took control, did the thing. That's okay. If you can't do that, then to me, skill, the real skill, is being able to go in and out when is necessary. Sometimes an emergency happens, somebody's really not well, there's an accident, something's happened. Oh no, we're running a Scrum team, you can't tell me what to do, you know, blah, blah. Now hold on a minute, you're a new team member, you have no experience. All the experienced team members just carried that team member down to the hospital, right? So we're just here together, just go and do that now. And now you have to slot into something else. And you have to know when to do that. And as a Scrum Master, it's like, yeah, but as quickly as you can, go back to the way of allowing them to make mistakes and do things and make decisions. You have to. Otherwise, you've got just pure anarchy. Like Agile is like on the edge of chaos. You want to be slightly chaotic because that's where the real innovation happens. But you don't want to be so chaotic that there's just nothing happening anymore. And we've been there. Sometimes let it go a little bit too far, but you have to be able to pull it back. So that's why I want you to sometimes take control. Tell people what to do. It's okay, but know you're doing it. Hey, I'm being your manager. I'm going to be your manager for the next 5 minutes. La la la. And then announce it. Say, hey guys, I had to be manager yesterday. It was really not good. How are we going to fix that? That's retrospective. That's us working together better as a team. That is Scrum.
Questions?
And we're 7 minutes early. The only other part that we need to look at, not today, but is the values, Scrum values. I don't know where they are. You can look at these. I'm going to leave this, and I can give you a copy to take away. They're pretty self-explanatory. But these are the values in Scrum, that Scrum, Agile teams have those values. Basically, courage, focus, commitment, respect, and openness. And when anybody breaks the values, including me, if you think I'm not being respectful, please just say, I don't think you're being respectful. Because if we're going to run this, it has to be the same rules for everybody.
I think it's really important now for us to use that for it to be everything clean and for everybody, and everybody understand everything, respect each other, committed with the business and the folks in our goal.
Yeah, set the standards. We set the standards and we'll agree on them together. That's what I want to do this afternoon. I want to break up into teams, start some backlog, create a backlog together. And each team will have a volunteer Scrum Master, volunteer product owner, volunteer team member. Yeah. And then we'll just play a few little projects. Yeah. That you will design, the product owners will decide what it is after talking to the stakeholders. We'll all discuss based on where we want to go and what we want to do. So look, we're early.
So you want to stop recording?
Is Al still there?
So we can have our lunch.
Al's gone.
He's in the stream yard.
He's still there. Well, no, he's not around. Right, we're gonna break for lunch, and I think I'm gonna just stop the recording and come back. We're gonna come back in 1 hour, or half an hour, half hour, at 1 o'clock. Pash, call me on the phone if you like. We can have a chat. Stop sharing my screen.
Ricardo, can I see? Because I want you to show you here, because it's not the videos going to play.
Oh, I see.